Welcome back, everybody. You know, a lot of manufacturers announced major product recalls right before the end of the year. So we decided to talk about the late 2011 recalls, the heads up about these products if you don't know about them already. We're also joined this morning by attorney Randy Reep, who will explain the possible remedies that consumers may have. Randy, thank you so much for being here this morning. We're talking about three this morning. One is a possible choking hazard for kids. The other two, fire hazards, really. The first one we're going to start with is a bear, Build-A-Bear. We have a picture here of this bear that was recalled, more than 250,000 recalled by the end of December.
That's right. 283,000 were sold. This specific bear, the Colorful Hearts bear, is part of their product line, recalled because the eyes can fall out and cause a choking hazard to children. So those were recalled for that reason.
And you were talking about the history of this bear. There's actually been other issues in the past?
Well, Build-A-Bear probably is pretty sensitive. They've just recently, in the last couple of years, paid some settlements because they've had other hazards before, and this was a voluntary recall that they were actually quite out in front of, specific to this bear.
Okay, the second one here, Hamilton Beach toasters. This was a fire hazard, and you know, a lot of electronics can have this potential, but what do we know about this particular product?
What's interesting about this, people expect that fire hazard to be part of a toaster because it's supposed to cook. This toaster, the reason it's getting recalled is once you plug it in, the heating element may be engaged whether or not the switch is on or not. Obviously, expectation you wouldn't have that your toaster is on when you're not around. So this is why that's being recalled, and again, another voluntary recall by Hamilton.
Okay, and then this is the third and final one this morning, iPod Touch rechargeable external battery case, which just gets too hot and can catch on fire.
About 6,000 of these were sold. This is an aftermarket device that goes onto an iPad Touch, an iTouch, if you will. And the reason this is interesting is about 6,000 were sold. There's been 110 events of heating issues, but of those, there's been 44 where the plastic is actually melted from the heat. In fact, 9 people have reported injuries as a result of the heat injury associated with it.
Well, this is a company's nightmare when this happens. Let's talk about the consumer, though. What happens if you have one of these products, or you think you have one of these products?
The first thing is, if you think you have a product that may be subject to a recall, you need to stop using it until you determine otherwise. Just because you have a silver toaster doesn't mean your toaster is being recalled. There's ways to investigate that. The Consumer Product Safety Commission has a website, the FDA, because if it's a food recall, the Department of Motor Vehicles, jackspider.com, we try to track the kind of relevant local recalls that might be of interest to our clients. But you need to investigate and see if that's your product. Once you've done that, generally when you see these recalls, there'll be a remedy provided by the seller. Generally, it's a alternative product, but you can also work your way to a refund if that's what you desire.
And really, it's on the consumer, too, because in most of these products, there's no way for anybody to contact you. You know, if you have one, you kind of have to just be vigilant, right? The
theory is when you fill out those warranty cards, even on your small products, and you mail it in, that would be the way they would contact you. I don't know how diligent you are about doing that. But the more serious ones are through you folks, through news releases. We had a food recall last week, I think, that you guys were out in front of regarding peanut oil and green beans. But the middle-of-the-road ones, these Build-A-Bears, if you weren't paying attention, you wouldn't even know.
Certainly, yeah. And that's exactly why we do the stories, when we get the information out there. Final question, if you're hurt, if something horrible happens, you know, God forbid, what do you do?
Specifically, you need to contact an attorney. Products liability cases, they're complex. We do that. There's other firms in Jacksonville that do it. Contact an attorney. You want to make sure that you are on time, because there are some time limits to these things. You want to make sure that you're getting the right remedy for the injury you suffered. And the biggest thing is that the reason you really need to get that out there is not only were you injured, but we want to prevent future injuries to other people. Oftentimes, these are how companies become aware that there's a danger to their product. Oftentimes, it's through an attorney contacting them, indicating my client's been hurt.
Because somebody's been hurt, yeah, okay. Randy, good information. Thank you so much this morning. Have a great New Year. There's new information